Okay guys, this is going to be a really quick video, and this video is going to be about measurement standards. And every measurement has a standard, and a standard is just the exact quantity that people agree to use for comparison. So what do we mean by that? If I'm using a ruler and if you're using a ruler, and we're measuring the same thing, we should be really close to getting the same answer, right? Like, that's what a standard means. So in the past, people used to use parts of their body to determine the length of something. So if that's where the foot came from. Actually, it came from the King of England. The King of England, like in England, they used to use feet, and the foot was determined by the King of England's foot. But like, how are you supposed to know how long that is? And what if they got a new king, right? So today we know, at least in America, a foot is 12 inches. And the English system is pretty confusing, isn't it? Because we have all these different measurements. We have inches, and we have feet, and we have yards, and we have miles. That's just for length. And then for area, we have square inches, square feet, square miles, acres. We have mass, we have ounces, pounds, short tons. For volume, there's a zillion, right? There's teaspoons, tablespoons, ounces, cups, pints, quarts, gallons, and then you get into cubic feet and cubic yards. In temperature, we use Fahrenheit, but no one else does. So this is why everyone else uses the metric system. We're the only country, but we're the one of 3 countries in the whole world that uses the English system. So scientists don't like the English system because scientists need exact and uniform measurements. So how did the metric system come about? Well, during the 18th century, scientists measured the distance from the Earth's equator to the North Pole and divided it into 10 million parts. This is how they came up with the length of the standard meter. So the standard for the meter, so what we know as a meter, what everyone knows as a meter, is kept safe in France. And the meter is broken down into 100 centimeters and 1,000 millimeters. You guys know all that. Well, how did the liter come about? Well, scientists needed a way to measure liquids. So they took 10 centimeters and multiplied it by its length, width, and height to come up with volume. So the liter is the size of 10 centimeters cubed. So the metric system really makes sense, right? And how did the gram come about? Similar way. Scientists needed to measure mass, so the mass of is the amount of matter, right? So they decided to take 1 cubic centimeter of water, and they were going to call that a gram. How about time? Well, during the 15th century, you probably have heard of Galileo. He set the standard of time known as the second. So over the years, there have been some mistakes with our lovely English system. There are 2 different groups of scientists that were working on calculations to send a probe to Mars. And the American team did their calculations in the standard English system, and the other team did theirs in the metric system. So that costs a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of time. So the important thing to learn there is always do your science in the metric system, and always base your measurements on a standard.